Hello everyone, I'm Don Arleth and welcome to Flash News. The Danish Environmental Protection Agency has given the green light for work to resume on the majority of the Danish section of the Baltic pipeline, which is to carry gas from Norway to Poland. The project may be delayed by 3 months, however, it should reach its full capacity by the end of next year, essentially ending Poland's reliance on Russian gas.
After 2 weeks of break, confusion and anxiety, work on the Baltic Pipe construction project is back in full swing. A very good, natural, long-awaited decision whose consequences will be that the diversification of gas supplies to our part of Europe is assured. Earlier, inspectors from the Danish Environmental Protection Agency found mice and bats at risk in the area of the land part of the planned gas pipeline, which is to run through Jutland and the islands of Funen and Zealand. Now the investment can go ahead, but the approval only covers part of the Danish territory. Danish transmission operator Energinet has said it will seek environmental approval for the remaining area. Baltic Pipe is a strategic investment as natural gas will flow through the pipeline from Norway to Denmark and Poland. The investors are the transmission operators, Danish Energinet and Polish gas system. The worst-case scenario, which assumed a general delay of the entire Baltic Pipe project by several months or more, did not materialize, and therefore Poland will be able to use Norwegian gas after the completion of the Yamal contract with Russian Gazprom. They will not be at the mercy of the Russians. The Polish side has no delays, and the Danes assure that they will catch up. As a result, the gas will reach Poland in October next year as planned. 5 years have passed since the gas port in Świnoujście, owned by Gas System, received its first commercial load of liquefied natural gas ordered by PGNiG. As a result, independence from Russian gas became a fact.
A new socio-economic program for the post-pandemic period, which has been dubbed the Polish New Deal, will soon become a reality. What is on paper for now will soon be discussed in the same. For the time being, politicians of law and justice are traveling throughout the country to present their new proposals to voters.
This plan will affect virtually everyone, which is why law and justice politicians went to Poland to present the assumptions of the Polish deal, today in the Lublin region. We want Poland to develop, we want Poles to live like the Europeans live in the West. For starters, changes to the tax system. It is a higher tax-free amount, and the second tax threshold has been raised from 85,000 Polish zloty to 120,000. The Polish deal means also a revolution in pensions. Senior citizens receiving up to 2,500 Polish zloty gross will not pay tax. These changes will benefit 18 million Poles. Older and younger people, those earning less, so it's probably good for everyone. It will work out for the good of families. In addition to the existing benefits, they will receive additional support of 12,000 Polish zloty to be used until the child is 3 years old. The young will not have to worry about their own contribution when buying an apartment. They will receive a guarantee from the state for 100,000 Polish zloty. I am a mom of 3 kids, and this is very meaningful to me. Even though my husband and I work professionally, it's a nice support. It is hard to find an apartment in the market at the moment, and practically every young family needs such a place. By fall, the 10 most important bills from the Polish deal are expected to be ready to go into effect with the new year. This policy is clear, that is, there is consistent implementation of assistance for the poorest and support for families in order to make them wealthier and to increase the fertility rate. I think that there is no political formation on the Polish scene today which would understand the needs of the Polish family and cared about it more. The Polish deal has no party colors, hence the appeal for support from the opposition. This is a plan to give us all a guarantee of a safe future, a guarantee of safe development. It is up to us whether we will take advantage of it. Work on the Polish deal bills will begin at the next session of the Sejm.
We are close to herd immunity, but we haven't quite reached it yet. Just in the last 24 hours alone, more than 300,000 Poles were vaccinated against COVID-19. As experts emphasize, their well-being may be influenced more by the current heat wave than by the jab itself.
Dizziness, fainting, dehydration, this is what we need to watch out for, not after vaccination, but while in the sun. However, let us try not to go out between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. This is such a basic rule. The sun during such hot weather can be dangerous. Polish infectious disease specialists, unlike Italian scientists, do not note that vaccinated people are more exposed to UV rays. These same Italian scientists proved not long ago that sunshine has a beneficial effect. It even helps us eliminate coronavirus. The pandemic in Poland is clearly weakening. Last day, only 168 infections were confirmed and 1,500 COVID-19 patients are hospitalized. Good news also comes from representatives of the Polish company Mabion. Later this year, the first batch of vaccine, which will be against COVID-19, will be produced in the Polish plant. This is a good moment to invest in your own health and get yourself examined prophylactically. The PZ2 initiative makes it easier. COVID has brought us a lot of losses concerning our health, and indeed this initiative that you have organized with which you travel around Poland really is an action of the highest recognition. The PZU mobile offices offer diagnostic tests, ECG, lung ultrasound, measurement of sugar levels, cholesterol or blood pressure. Medical vehicles will visit, among others, Rzeszów, Stalowa Wola, Świdnik and Lublin.
The World Health Organization is sounding the alarm. The Indian strain of the coronavirus, now called the Delta variant, has become the dominant strain of COVID-19 in the world. This is due to its extremely high rate of transmission.
In Europe, the UK has to face the Delta variant of the coronavirus. The virus is already responsible for more than 90% of infections. German experts are also concerned about this variant. They predict that the Delta strain will soon become dominant in their country as well, and this despite a progressive vaccination campaign. Scientists from the WHO are also drawing attention to the worsening situation in Africa. In Namibia, Sierra Leone, Liberia and Rwanda, the number of new coronavirus cases has doubled in the past week.
The President of the United States is urging his fellow Americans to get vaccinated against COVID-19. President Biden spoke about this primarily in the context of the Delta strain of the coronavirus. Joe Biden said, quote, "It is a variant that is more easily transmissible, potentially deadlier, and particularly dangerous for young people."
So many people have already been vaccinated, but with the Delta variant can cause more people to die in areas where people have not been vaccinated. Where people have gotten the 2 shots, the Delta variant is highly unlikely to result in anything other than, the existing vaccines are very effective.
The authorities in Moscow and St. Petersburg have decided to introduce mandatory vaccination against the coronavirus in 6 regions of Russia. They are to apply to employees in education, culture, services, and catering.
The governor of the Leningrad Oblast, whose center is in St. Petersburg, has signed a decree restricting the activities of cultural institutions and catering companies. The restrictions will be lifted when at least 80% of an establishment's employees present a certificate that they have received the vaccine. Since Thursday, the region has tightened sanitary restrictions. Earlier, the Moscow administration also decided to take such a step. Ibrahim Raisi will be the new president of Iran. Although the State Election Commission has yet to release the full results of yesterday's election, Raisi's victory was announced by the country's spiritual leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Raisi, an ultra-conservative politician and Shiite cleric, is a staunch critic of the West and is under U.S. sanctions for human rights abuses. The new president will be sworn in August. 3 people injured, 15,000 households without electricity. Thunderstorms passed over southwestern France, plagued by heat. They were accompanied by windstorms and downpours. This caused chaos in the lives of residents. Hundreds of people had to be evacuated from areas at risk of flooding. Storms and downpours also came over southern Romania. A cyclone warning has been issued.
The upcoming summer holidays are the perfect time to get enlisted in the Army. Simplified recruitment procedures and shortened initial training are to make the Army's ranks even more numerous.
I applied to services, maybe it will work out. Anyone can apply. The military goes out to civilians and shows the best of what it has. This is a short-range radio location station. This is a picnic to encourage young and old to join the ranks of the Polish Army. Interest is there. People are asking how to get into the service. At the same time, it is one of the elements of the Become a Soldier of Poland campaign. As part of the campaign, athletes in uniforms have encouraged others to join the army. To become one, you just need to apply through a special website. Then the formalities are shortened from 3 months to 1 month training. Since September, almost 30,000 people have taken advantage of this offer. There are days when even 100,000 applicants apply. It was my priority as Minister of Defense to increase the size of the Polish Army and the new units of both the Territorial Defense Forces and Operational Forces. The Polish Army has been growing for several years. Now it is over 130,000 soldiers. They serve, for example, in the youngest division in the Polish Army, the 18th Mechanized Division, which was formed only 3 years ago. Exercise Dragon 21 was its last test before reaching combat readiness. All that was practiced was to test the division's readiness in both peacetime and wartime, and the readiness of the division to direct and plan combat operations in southeastern Poland. A more numerous army is also the Territorial Defense Forces, the 5th type of armed forces created to help civilians in disaster situations. 2nd Lieutenant Andrzej Wąsowski serves in the ranks of the Territorials. The Territorial Defense Forces offer a very interesting solution. You can combine work and service. The program of development of the armed forces assumes not only increasing the number of troops, but also purchasing modern equipment and modernization of the existing one. Poland is one of 10 NATO countries which spends more than 2% of GDP on defense.
In the UK, the pandemic does not yet belong to the past, but tradition is strong on the Isles. After a year-long break, horses returned to Ascot, as well as the guests watching them. Also, the hats, the trademark of the famous races, have returned in full splendor.
This year, visitors came to Ascot in the vicinity of Windsor less numerous. Only 12,000 people a day can watch the races of the best horses in England, which is a small number compared to 300,000 in previous years. However, this also has its advantage. In a smaller group, it is easier to draw attention to oneself. First of all, the hats, which were 300 years at Ascot, have been not only a requirement but also a symbol of social status. The most magnificent hats sometimes cost a fortune. Noble sounds filled the park surrounding Vienna's Schönbrunn Palace long into the night. The traditional concert to welcome the summer was given by the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra. Due to coronavirus restrictions, only 3,000 people were invited. And it was a special audience because the musicians played especially for the medics who help in the most difficult moments of the pandemic. Giacomo Balla was a famous Italian futurist. His Roman apartment was as original as the painter's work. He lived in it for 30 years until his death in 1958. And now the apartment for the first time has been opened to the public. Here you can learn about the artist's work and his everyday life, which was certainly not monotonous. The apartment itself is a work of art. A small dog caused a big commotion in one of the districts of the Peruvian capital, Lima. He ran away straight into the busy roadway. He could not be caught for a long time, which caused chaos on the road. In addition to the owners, neighbors, drivers, police officers and road workers went into pursuit of the clever dog. Eventually, he fled the roadway and was found at a nearby veterinary clinic. He clearly needed help, but his barking was not understood well enough to communicate that need to his owners.
Jimi Hendrix's hit song, Hey Joe, resonated through thousands of guitars. Not only in Wrocław, but in cities all over the world, the same song was played together at the same time via the internet. Well, they didn't break the Guinness World Record for the third consecutive time, but maybe next year. And that's all the time we have on the program. Thank you for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Good night.